Hello! I'm gonna give you guys a breakdown on how I shot my documentary short film, Sacred Hands. I wanted to do this because I'm very intentional in the way that I shoot, but also like kind of off the cuff, especially like with documentary work where things aren't super staged. It's usually like just working off the energy that's in the room. Unfortunately, like I had no behind the scenes, and that's kind of part of why I'm doing this video, just to give like insight and like to yap about it. With this particular project, it came about because Leandria asked me if I'd do documentary work, and then I said yes, and we kind of candidly shot some footage.
I'm painting and being documented.
I kind of got a sense of their painting ritual, and then I was like, let's turn this into like a full-blown idea. So I picked their brain as to like what that ritual is, and like I kind of like shot listed it in that moment in order for us to like convey this process and do it in the most authentic way possible. I shot it all on the C70. Love that camera. I shot it all on the same focal length too, which was 44 millimeters. I shot this all on a tripod, which is kind of different for me because I am a handheld girly. I love the look of handheld, the feel, everything. But for this specifically, I knew that I wanted like this stillness, and I wanted it to be very like observant of this person and of their ritual. So that beginning part where it's like super dark, I already knew how I was going to shoot it, and it was similar to a music video that I had just done earlier in 2024 where I just kind of add like ND. I wanted to take that tactic and like use it to my advantage because although again like with documentary work especially, I really like capturing raw moments, but certain things in order to like tell that story, it has to be kind of like premeditated. The way I edited it was like I picked the part that I really liked where it seems like they're just like kind of snuggled up, and I wanted that to be the intro. And then when it just jumps to them waking up, like we knew that that was just gonna like kind of be the transition. It was like early in the morning and they had just woken up when I first got there. So that's why like it seems so believable, because I think it was around like 8 in the morning that like this was shot. When they had told me that like part of their morning routine is like to stretch, I imagined it more like aerobics. So when they kind of just like threw their feet up in the air, I was like, okay, like how can I work with this? There's no issue with it. It's just like I was mentally prepared for one thing, and then now it's like, okay, let's pivot and like let's make this shot interesting. And that's why I tried to play with like the balance or even like the reflection in the mirror, where it feels very like observant of this person. I was gonna say character, but they're like a real life human being. Also, it might seem like there was more feet than I intended. That wasn't really like an artistic choice. This is kind of what happened. Truthfully, in a like I guess a director's cut kind of way, I had it where the frame was very low on the ground, so I could capture them like using the restroom, because as we all know, like we typically, one of the first things that we do in the morning is like a morning pee. So I do have that like raw audio of that happening from that exact angle, but I felt like it was a bit drawn out, and I decided to cut that shorter. So it's just like it goes to the flush, and then after that they're like, they wash their hands, brush their teeth, and then they go on with the day. I really wanted to keep it though, because it's just like you kind of have to like sit there, and the whole purpose of this first segment is I wanted it where you're with this person, and like it's like you're easing into the day really, and it's like not just this like fast-paced, like for them there's no like sense of urgency, and I mean that in the best way, where it's like it's just kind of peaceful, and like you just take the day as it comes in a very meditative, I've been told, is like how this film feels, which is really nice because that's kind of like what I was going for. But yeah, let's skip on over. The cool thing about this film is like, when I shot everything, I experienced this day with them through and through. Like, no corners were really cut. So they made matcha, they had their breakfast. I wanted to have like a sequence in the kitchen, but it just didn't work out. I don't think that it necessarily like takes away from the piece at all. When I shoot documentaries, I tried to make it so I'm very, or honestly anything, not even just documentaries, but when I'm shooting something, someone, what have you, I not only put a lot of heart into it, but I want to put like as much care and consideration in the person as possible. So I try to ask like people like, okay, like what are your boundaries? One of them was not shooting like certain areas of the house, just to keep it like more personal to them and like having that like, for lack of a better word, like a sacred space, really. And I get that totally, because I feel like, especially in today's day and age, no, but seriously, in like today's day and age, especially like with like vlogging or just documenting all of your life, sometimes like the boundaries can kind of blend, or like you cannot like even place like what line that you do or do not want to cross. So I feel like having that clear understanding of like who you're working with and like what is in their like range of comfortability and respecting that, I think is super important. So I wanted it to be like this abrupt thing, and then like the camera's slowly pushing through, and now we're gonna ease in this process with them. It's still running a bit slow, mainly because I just wanted it where it didn't feel like this punchy edit. This was always meant to be something like a slower burn. This sequence is my favorite in the whole film. It's because it came out exactly how I would have loved to see this, like if someone else did it, you know? I love it so much, particularly because pairing with Jordan's score, Jordan is a super talented friend. This film would not be what it is without this score. That's what I will say. Because for me, I always think of things very sonically. I think that visually, of course, it's important. And I do think that I've not mastered, but I have a good understanding of filmmaking visually, especially like as a photographer, DP, whatever. But sonically, man, like sounds are so important. And Jordan, like I gave him an example of like the direction I wanted, and I remember the first time still, like what I heard, like when he texted me the wave file, like I was just like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted, like through and through. The music starts to pour in like when they finally settle in and like they're mixing the paint, and that's what I wanted. I wanted it so it's like you're now immersed with them, and it becomes like this very intimate setting. We only used one light and natural light, and everything else was just like coloring and stuff. It just goes to show that you can really lean into your environment, and that's my style for sure. I think that certain shoots or concepts require more, like preparation, lighting, crew, what have you. But if you really want to do something, you can do it. Like, I'm a wholehearted, like, bootlegger. I love bootleg setups. I love the account like Shitty Rigs on Instagram. As long as it's not putting anyone's safety at risk, I think it's great. Another approach with everything that not many people know is that Leandria listens to music when they paint. You gotta like wear earbuds or something and like just have it hidden under their hair, because I did still want it to be authentic. Like, I don't think they would have painted as passionately or as naturally if it was just dead silence. So that was like a good compromise on both ends, where again, like, you gotta just figure out the finesse. When we get to that part where they took a water break and then they resume, and then now like the painting has progressed tenfold, that was another way of me finessing, because day one was everything that you saw up until that point. Like, once it goes to like their hands again with like purple paint, this is day two. It took 2 days to shoot, and not even 2 full days. And we took a break, and then I think like a month later, they worked on it. So the painting again, like it progressed hella. And then they also got a haircut. So I had to figure out like, okay, we have to finish this film. At first, like I was very worried. I was like, okay, is this gonna come out really jarring? Or is it just gonna be like, okay, like let's skip on over? And thankfully it was the latter. I feel like it ties together well. And again, like you're in this trance for so long, and then it gently stops at like a water break, and then you kind of just jump back in. And then Gwen came up with the idea of like, oh, have like their hands just there and like lights pouring in, and it's very like ethereal almost, which I mean, it ended up as the poster. Shout out Gwen. Honestly, like I think this film came out perfect. This is one of the few projects that I look at and I'm like, I wouldn't change a single thing about. And it's because it's so raw, and I genuinely believe it's one of the best things I've ever created. And I'm so proud of it, and I'm so grateful for all of you guys taking time to even watch it. You can like, you can comment, subscribe, share with your closest friends and enemies. The use, you know? And yeah, I'm gonna keep this up, bro. This is officially my first full month back. I posted 4 times this month. Much love. I will see y'all soon next week. I gotta keep me accountable, you know? But yeah, take care. Bye.